Welcome to the Deep Dive, where we unpack your sources to bring you the most fascinating insights. Today, we're embarking on quite a rich narrative. It explores generosity, wisdom, and, well, the different paths we can choose in life.
That's right. This deep dive focuses on the Vanavāsitissattheravatthu. It's an ancient story, starts in Rajagaha, and follows this remarkable individual, Tissa.
And our mission.
Our mission is really to pull out the lessons hidden in this text, to show how, one action can ripple across lifetimes, and what it really means to be, let's say, well-informed about getting to contentment.
So we'll see how a single act of kindness can trigger, well, frankly, extraordinary events. And then dig into this key difference, the path of gain versus the path to ultimate freedom.
Exactly.
Okay, let's dive in. The story kicks off in Rajagaha. We meet Mahasina, a Brahmin, once wealthy, friend of Sariputta's father.
But now in extreme poverty. And Sariputta, the great disciple, he goes on his alms round and stops by Mahasina's home out of compassion.
But the Brahmin is ashamed.
Deeply ashamed. He hides. He thinks, my son, meaning Sariputta in a familiar sense, he's at my door for alms and I have nothing. He doesn't know how bad things are.
And this happens for a few days.
Yeah, a few days. Then, one morning, somehow, Mahasena gets hold of a thick cloak and a bowl of rice gruel payasa.
Like Sariputta. Sariputta. Instantly. He calls him in, pours the gruel into the bowl. Such sincerity there.
Sariputta takes half?
Takes half initially, yeah. But the Brahmin insists, no, take it all. This isn't just for now. This is for the benefit of the next world. And he gives him the valuable cloak, too.
Wow. And that act, done from such poverty,
Mm.
what does it do to him?
It completely transforms his state of mind, fills him with this immense joy, this deep affection for Sariputta. And that single act, that feeling, that's the seed.
The catalyst for everything that follows.
Precisely. That strong affection, the merit of that generous act, it propels him. He passes away and is immediately reborn in Savatthi.
And not just anywhere in Savatthi.
No, into the very family that traditionally serves Sariputta. The connection is immediate. Okay, and here's where it gets really interesting, right? The Doha.
Yes. The Doha. At the moment of conception, his new mother gets this very specific craving.
Which is?
She longs to host 500 monks, led by Sariputta, feed them all milk gruel, and then, dressed in saffron robes herself, eat the leftovers with a golden spoon.
The saffron robes. That's significant.
Hugely significant. The text highlights it as a clear sign, a premonition of her son's future ordination in the Buddha's way.
And the family fulfills the craving.
They do, joyfully. And the mother feels this deep sense of satisfaction. It's all part of the unfolding merit.
So the child is born. What happens then?
He's laid on this incredibly valuable blanket, worth $100,000 apparently, and straight away this newborn baby grips it with his little finger, looking right at Sariputta.
Like he recognizes him.
Exactly, as if recognizing his teacher from his past life and wanting to make an offering now. The family sees this, understands, and declares this blanket is his offering to the elder.
Amazing. And he's named Tissa.
Named Tissa, yes, which was also Sariputta's lay name, lābhūpanisā. And throughout his childhood, his first meal, ear piercing, getting robes, haircut, every single time.
Let me guess, more sweet gruel.
Lots of sweet gruel. For 500 monks, always led by Sariputta. And the text explicitly states, this constant, abundant generosity is the direct result, the fruit of that one single bowl of gruel he gave as the poor Brahmin.
That really drives home the principle, doesn't it? There is no other place apart from the Buddha's dispensation where little given becomes much and much given becomes more.
It's powerful, a small, sincere act just blossoming into unbelievable abundance. It's not just about the material, but the intention behind it.
So Tissa grows up surrounded by this merit.
Yeah.
And then, at just 7 years old.
Just 7. He tells his mother he wants to become a monk.
And she agrees.
Wholeheartedly. Sariputta ordains him and teaches him a key meditation. The contemplation of the 5 parts of the body. It's a direct path towards, or hatship, towards liberation.
Okay, so he ordains. Does the merit, continue?
Oh, it explodes. Immediately after ordination, his parents feed the entire monastic community sweet gruel for 7 straight days.
Wow.
Then, on the 8th day, Tissa goes for alms in Savatthi himself. People are lining the streets for him. They offer him 500 cloaks and 500 alms bowls.
500. In one day.
And another 500 of each the next day. So in 2 days, he receives 1,000 cloaks and 1,000 bowls, all of which he just gives away immediately to the Sangha, the monastic community.
So he earns a name for this.
He does. Paṭipadā Tissa, Tissa, the giver of alms.
But it doesn't stop there, does it? The cloak story.
Right. Later, some monks mention they're cold. Tissa, completely confident, takes 1,000 monks with him to find cloaks.
1,000 monks, he just assumes he can provide.
Total confidence in his merit. And they encounter this notoriously stingy merchant who tries to hide his 2 best cloaks.
Uh-oh.
But when he sees Tissa, this 7-year-old monk, he's just overcome with this fatherly affection. He gives the cloaks willingly, even saying he wants to share in Tissa's future attainment.
That's incredible. The power of his presence, his merit.
Absolutely. So Tissa collects exactly 1,000 cloaks that day, gives them all away again, and gets another name, Vanavāsitissa. Tissa, the giver of cloaks.
So he's 7 years old. He has incredible merit, fame, support. Everyone loves him. What does he do?
He feels distracted. All the relatives, the attention in Jetavana, it's too much for his practice.
Even with all that positive stuff.
Especially because of it, perhaps. He wants solitude to focus, so he decides to leave.
And he doesn't just go to the edge of town.
No. He travels 120 yohanas. That's a huge distance, maybe around 700 miles. Really seeking seclusion.
Truly becoming Vanavāsitissa, the forest dweller.
Exactly. He finds a place, sets up his practice. His quiet presence inspires the local villagers. They take refuge, start observing ethical precepts.
Does he preach to them?
Barely interacts, just offers 2 simple phrases when he does. May you be happy, may you be free from suffering. That's it.
And in this solitude.
In just 3 months, he attains arahatship, full liberation.
Okay, now, this is where it gets even more amazing. Sariputta decides to visit.
His preceptor, yes. Sariputta comes with 500 monks. But then Moggallana shows up with his monks, then Mahakassapa with his, Anuruddha, Upali, Puna, all the great disciples, each with their own retinue.
Wait, how many monks total?
An incredible assembly. The text says 40,000 monks converge on Tissa's little forest dwelling.
40,000. The villagers must have been.
Overjoyed, absolutely ecstatic to see such an assembly. But that evening, they want a Dhamma talk from Tissa, and they complain, he only ever says those 2 phrases.
But Sariputta knows better.
Sariputta knows Tissa is an arahant, so he gently challenges him. Explain the meaning, Tissa. What does may you be happy, may you be free from suffering truly mean?
And Tissa.
He steps up, ascends the teaching seat, and delivers this incredibly profound discourse lasting all night right until dawn.
What does he talk about?
Everything. The path to arahatship, understanding the 5 aggregates, the elements, the sense bases, the factors of enlightenment. He makes it clear. True happiness, true freedom from suffering only comes with arahatship. Everyone else. Still bound to misery, to rebirth.
How did the villagers take that?
Mixed reactions. Some were actually angry, feeling he'd hidden his wisdom. Others were just completely overjoyed to finally hear such deep teachings.
And the Buddha?
The Buddha, seeing all this from Jetavana, instantly appears right there in the village.
Well.
He confirms Tissa's attainment, praises the villagers for their connection to Tissa, which allowed them to see all these great beings. This appeases the angry ones, deepens the faith of the others. Many attain stages of enlightenment right then and there.
So after that incredible event, the story shifts a bit, right? The Buddha walks with Tissa.
Yes, a more contemplative section. The Buddha asks Tissa about landmarks they pass. They climb a mountain, and the Buddha asks, "What do you see?"
And Tissa sees.
"The great ocean," he replies.
Then the Buddha asks what he thinks when he sees it.
And Tissa's answer is just devastatingly profound. He says, "I thought when I was suffering and weeping through countless rebirths, my tears were more than the water in the 4 great oceans."
My goodness. More tears than the ocean. The Buddha confirms this.
He does. He affirms the immensity of past suffering. Then he asks about Tissa's dwelling place, the forest. "What do you think about living here?"
And Tissa's thought.
"I think there's no limit to the bodily remains I've left right here in this spot from dying over and over again."
Sobering.
Incredibly sobering. The Buddha confirms this too. Basically, there's nowhere we haven't died before. He contrasts it with Ananda's passing, choosing a place of non-mortality over a river.
A conscious choice to avoid leaving remains tied to one place.
Exactly. And finally, the Buddha asks, "Are you scared here?" The wild animals, the sounds.
And Tissa, the forest dweller.
A resounding no. More than that, he says he finds joy in the forest sounds and recites 60 verses praising its beauty. He's found true peace. Fearless.
What a journey for him. So, back at Jetavana, the monks are talking about Tissa.
They are. They're discussing his difficult deed. How could someone so young give up so much game, so much honor, for such an austere life in the forest.
It seems counterintuitive from a worldly perspective.
Totally. And the Buddha arrives, hears them, and delivers the absolute core teaching of this whole story.
Which is?
Monks, one path leads to gain and another leads to nibbāna, liberation. Two distinct paths.
Okay, let's unpack that. The path to gain.
The lābhūpanisā. He explains it can sometimes involve, well, maybe slight unwholesomeness, a kind of bending of the body, he calls it.
What does that mean, bending?
He gives this simple analogy. If you try to scoop thick gruel with your hand held out straight, you might not get much, maybe just mess up your hand.
Right.
But if you bend your hand, cup it, you get a bigger lump. So gain and honor can arise that way, sometimes from actions that aren't perfectly righteous.
But he also says righteous gain is possible.
Oh yes, absolutely. He clarifies that gain can come from good conduct, from being learned, having students, living virtuously, even dwelling in the forest like Tissa did initially. The point isn't that gain itself is bad, but the way it's sometimes sought can be unwholesome.
Okay, so that's the path of gain. What about the path to nibbāna, the nibbānagāminī paṭipadā?
That path demands the opposite of bending. It requires being completely straightforward, no deceit. He uses this strong image, like a blind man who doesn't see, a mute man who doesn't speak, or a deaf man who doesn't hear.
Meaning unswayed by temptations.
Exactly. Not getting caught up in the lures of the world, the potential gains, being utterly focused inward.
So what should a disciple do? Reject all gain?
No, not necessarily reject righteous gain if it comes naturally, but definitely don't delight in unrighteous gain. The real focus, the Buddha stresses, must be on cultivating viveka, seclusion.
Seclusion? That sounds like Tissa in the forest.
It is, but it's more than just physical. There are three forms.
Okay, what are they?
First, bodily seclusion, kaya viveka. That's the physical solitude like Tissa sought. Getting away from crowds, company. It helps break attachment to groups, to external stuff.
Makes sense.
Second, mental seclusion, viveka. This is about the mind. It refers to achieving deep meditative states, the absorptions or jhanas. This purifies the mind, freeing it from inner defilements.
So body quiet, mind quiet. And the third?
Substance seclusion, viveka. This is the ultimate goal. It is nibbāna, freedom from all the building blocks of existence, the aggregates, freedom from all conditioned reality.
And these three are connected.
Absolutely. They support each other. Bodily seclusion makes mental seclusion easier. Mental seclusion is the gateway to substance seclusion, to nibbāna. That's the path of cultivation.
Wow, what a journey we've traced. From that single bowl of gruel,
given with such purity of heart,
to immense merit, incredible gains, and then the deliberate choice to leave it all behind for seclusion and ultimate liberation.
Yeah.
Tissa's life is extraordinary.
It really shows the sheer power of sincere generosity, how merit works. But, maybe more importantly, it draws that sharp line. The path focused on external gain versus the path focused on inner freedom through seclusion.
That distinction feels very relevant.
Yeah.
Gain isn't inherently bad, but the pursuit of gain, especially if it involves bending, is one thing. The pursuit of nibbāna, of true inner peace, in our own lives, when we make choices, are we subtly bending our hand for a bit more external validation, a bit more gain? Or are we trying to cultivate that inner clarity, that straightforwardness that leads to a different kind of richness, a lasting freedom?
A very provocative thought to end on. Which path are we truly prioritizing?